Hello and welcome back, grade 10s. Today is Monday, October 5th. We're going to be taking a look into board foot calculations a little deeper than we've done in the previous couple of days. So if you haven't done so already, I'd like you to watch this video I posted up last Thursday on board foot calculation. What's a board foot? Ask Matt. Now, to date, at this time, we only have 10 comments out of a class of 22. So I would like you to watch this video, tell me 2 things that you've learned from it in the activity feed below. Following this, your lesson from last Friday was to access a video that I had created on showing you how to calculate board feet for a bedside table. So this referred to the pricing of solid rough lumber note that is in the hub, and shows you how to do all the calculations, talks about rounding your thicknesses up to 1 inch, all that good stuff. So this was just a video for you to watch. I had no activity associated with it. Today we're going to be doing a similar activity. Well, you'll be doing it, and it's going to be a shorter list than this to complete. So taking a sneak peek into our announcement, let's go there now. So these are the instructions for today. So I'm going to read this to you and talk about some important things to consider here. So remember, when calculating board feet, you must round all thickness dimensions up to 1 inch. When calculating board feet as described in the note, board feet and pricing of solid rough lumber. Now this note was shown to you in the video post from last Friday, as it says right here. Rough lumber is not sold under 1 inch thickness, and it increases by increments of a 1/4 inch up from there. So this is an example of how to calculate a simple example. So this is board feet equals number of pieces times thickness times width times length divided by 144. So in this case, we have one item, that's one number of pieces, times a 3/4 inch thick piece of wood by 4.5 inches wide by 15 inches long. So if you look at the line underneath, it says one item times 1 inch. Now, this is bolded. It's been changed from 3/4 up to 1. This is exactly what I talked about up here. So anything that is in a thickness under 1 inch finished must be rounded up to 1. We leave the width and the length just the way they are, and we divide it by 144. So if we plug this into a calculator, board feet is going to equal 0.46875. Now I write here, maintain 2 decimal places and do not round up your answer. So we don't want to round up numbers unnecessarily because that's going to add more stock and that's going to cost more money. So board feet equals 0.46. So this is our final answer. We're not rounding the 6 up to a 7 because of the 3rd decimal place, which is an 8, right? We're just going to drop all the numbers that come after the 2nd decimal place. So this is 0.46 board feet. Now, when you're doing today's activity, you're going to have a few lines you're going to have to calculate for, singularly like this one, and then you're going to add up all of the board foot answers to get a subtotal. Next, you're going to take that subtotal and you're going to multiply it by 25%. So this is where we add some scrap allowance and some cuts, right? So when we're working with woodworking and machinery, blade thicknesses will turn whatever stock is in their path to dust, right? So we have to add a little bit extra. So we're accounting for that with 25% extra stock plus any mistakes to any pieces that may be made. So if you're making a back piece to a project and it gets wrecked, you have a little bit extra stock to be able to remake that piece. So we're adding 25% for waste and for scrap allowance. Finally, we add the subtotal and the scrap allowance together for the total board feet. We maintain 2 decimal places, and we don't round up our answers for the subtotal, the 25% allowance, and the board foot total calculations. So when you add up all your lines for your subtotal, you're just going to maintain 2 decimal places like I've talked about here. The same thing when you multiply your subtotal next to your scrap allowance, you maintain 2 decimal places. And lastly, when you add the subtotal to the scrap allowance, you get your total board foot. You don't round up, you just maintain 2 decimal places. Right? The way you can think of this is like money. So if you were going to the dollar store and you were going to buy a pack of gum and it costs $1, that's the subtotal of the cost of the gum. There's going to be what's called HST, which is tax, that also gets charged. And in the province of Ontario, that value is 13%. So $1 times 13% is going to be 13 cents. So $1 would be your subtotal, 13 cents would be your scrap allowance in this case, and then you would add the two together for a grand total. So you would add $1 plus 13 cents, and you would get $1.13. And that's typically what you're doing here, right? It's the same kind of thinking. A subtotal, a scrap allowance, you could think of it like a tax, and then adding them together to get a grand price total, or total board feet in our case. So once you've completed this assignment, you can submit it to the assignments folder in the appropriate assignment folder Dropbox in the hub. Now, this link will take you to the Google Sheet, so we're going to click into this next. So we're going to follow the same procedure as before for making a copy of this for you to work on, because this is my original. So again, no one should be requesting access for this because I'm the owner of this document. But what you're going to do is go to File, and you're going to make a copy. And then, now this is if you're using a computer to do this. If you're using an iPad, the procedure is slightly different, and I can post those text instructions for you. So this is a copy of the pencil box parts list and board foot calculations. What you can do to this is add your name to it. And this makes it easier for me when I download it to mark. So when you're copying, please just add your name in front of the name of the sheet, please. And then hit OK. So this is going to create a copy. And so this is not my original. I can edit this. So first thing you're going to do is type the project name here. So you're going to write pencil box. You're going to write your full name under student name. And then you're going to start filling in this list. But how do you know what to fill in? Right? You don't have any information. So to find that information, you're going to go back to the hub. You're going to go to Content. And I've opened up the Class Projects module for you. So this is now open to you. Click into this module and select Pencil Box Assembly plus Detail Drawings. Now, this is going to be the very first project that we're going to work on when we get to the shop in about a week or so. So these are drawings or sketches that I've created myself. And when you open this up, it's not oriented correctly for you. So what you can do is come down here and hit rotate clockwise, and that will allow you to look at it the way it's meant to be. So I'm not going to be getting into the details here of drawings today, but this is an assembly drawing of the pencil box, and this is a simple parts list of what we're going to have to make. So we're going to have on our board foot calculation sheet 4 items. We're going to have 1 back, we're going to have 1 front, we're going to have 2 sides, and we're going to have 1 bottom. So this is where you're going to start to fill that information in, right? This is going to be items 1 through 4 on your sheet. So you're going to put 1 to 4 in item number of pieces, and don't mix this up. So the back is quantity 1 for item 1. The front is quantity 1 for item 2. The side is quantity 2 for item 3. And the bottom is quantity 1 for item 4. The material is pine. So that's stock material. You're going to write pine down in this column, repeated. Part name, this is going to be back, front, side, bottom. And this is going to be 1, 1, 2, 1, going in the correct order. Now, where do we find our thickness, widths, and lengths? So we're going to have to dig a little deeper. So item 1 is the back. So this shows 3 views of that item. So its length is 6.5 inches. Its width is 3.5 inches, and its thickness is 5/8. So here you're going to write 3.5 inches in width. You're going to write 6.5 inches in length, and under thickness, this is going to be changed from 5/8 to 1 inch, like we've discussed already. So any thickness that's under 1 inch must be at least just changed to 1 inch for the purpose of the calculation. So that's for your item 1. Your item 2, your front, again, the thickness is 5/8, so you'll change that to 1 inch. The width is 3.5 inches, and the length is 4.5 inches. Your side, so this is going to be quantity 2. So this is going to be number of pieces 2 in your list, right? 5/8 is changed to 1. 1 5/8 is your width, and 4.5 inches is your length. So for number of pieces, this is going to be 2 instead of 1 on item 3. And then lastly, we have the bottom piece. Its thickness is 5/8. It's changed to 1 inch. The 1 5/8 is the width, and the 2 1/4 is the length. So you're going to plug that information into thickness, width, length. Remember, thickness is always the smallest dimension, and length is always the longest dimension, and width is what's in the middle. And then you're going to follow the procedure that I discussed to add them all up and plug in your subtotal, find your scrap allowance, right? You're multiplying the subtotal by 25%, and I just want what the 25% value is here. I don't want it added to anything, right? You're adding the subtotal and the 25% together to get the total board feet. And again, I mention it, maintain 2 decimal places and do not round any numbers up after calculation. That goes for finding the individual board foot line here, as well as adding them up for the subtotal and so on. So again, here's your formula. It's number of pieces times thickness times width times length divided by 144 in this case. And these are your decimal conversions, right? So for your calculator, a 1/4 inch equals 0.25, 1/2 inch equals 0.5, and 5/8 equals 0.625, right? Just to make it very simple for you. And that's basically it. So that's all you have to do with this is complete this board foot calculation parts list, save it, and submit it to the assignment folder when complete. I'm going to be downloading this week, and I'm going to be checking them for you, and I'm going to be letting you know how you did. So that's basically it for right now. So until we talk again, take care, and good luck and have fun with this assignment.